Hello YouTube, this is Mage again, and I'm bringing you this league's final update to Poison SRS. I have some exciting news for anybody who is struggling a little bit with survivability this league. A lot of the mods are very dangerous. I basically solved that and made it so that we could level up again, and it feels fantastic. So we also went through a lot of damage upgrades. So we're going to show you our, I'm going to say quote unquote min-maxed one, because it isn't min-maxed yet. There is absolutely plenty more I could do to this, but I have played Poison SRS enough and I have done everything I need to do. So I'm going to make a map blaster speed mapping build next. So we're moving on. This will be the final update that I do for it. So in the background, you can see we're doing some Shaper Guardian runs again with destructive play just to see how the damage was. It was quite good. I did run a tier 17. It's capable. You can do tier 17s, especially now. I wouldn't call it a tier 17 farmer. It's not the smoothest. There are better builds for it. I would stick to everything below that. But let's jump into game and see what's going on. Oh, here's our guy. You see, we actually got some XP. It was higher than this, but I went into a tier 17 and lost like 40%. We could be getting levels now, which is fantastic. But we went with a trick. We finally upgraded into the Aegis Aurora. You will notice this one's corrupted with a level 23 discipline. We'll get to that. The corruption is not that important. However, what is important is that we added discipline to our build and mind over matter. So I currently have 2100 energy shield as well. In order to get a 35% in, we were using petrified blood in the last update. That wasn't good enough for me. It was more tanky than I had before that, but it wasn't good enough. So we decided Aegis Mom and Discipline is the play. So in order to change into Discipline, you do have to anoint whichever amulet you have with Charisma. Now, you don't have to have an Ools to make this change. The Ools is what gets you into a permanent haste aura and then lets you put a Malevolence Blessing on. But that is separate from getting your 35% aura on Discipline. Discipline comes from just anointing Charisma and taking out Vitality. I'm currently running a Vitality because of the Corrupted Shield, because I had some plans to get a little bit of extra RMR and be able to level up Vitality again, but I never got to that point. So I also don't think you need it, which means you do not need the Corruption for a level 23 Discipline. I could have just put a level 20 or a 21 in there and just not ran this Vitality. Also, you could go for the Corruption +2 to socketed auras and use it for determination as well as your discipline. Now, the reason this works so well is because mind over matter, and we've still got glancing blow block cap. So we block almost every hit. We take 65% of the damage instead of 100, and then 40% of that damage that's left gets taken from our energy shield instead of our life, so we barely get one shot ever anymore. And then the shield recovers all of our energy shield all the time. Now, I went one step further, and this actually lowered my DPS. So I could get a lot more DPS by dropping this, but I actually went and put Vile Bastion on for just a little more comfort. Now we can see what Vile Bastion does. Tiny bit of flat energy shield. Can't be stunned while you have, or energy shield regen, sorry. Can't be stunned while you have energy shield, and 10% regen. That was just to help me deal with that little problem of like, oh, you ran away with a dot on you and your energy shield runs out. I'm going to be honest, it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't think I would go out of my way to get this anymore, especially when the other two options are either getting a Necromancer one so that you can get full true block cap instead of glancing blow block cap, or if you want the ultimate amount of damage, you could grab the Void Beacon set, which is nearly 20% more DPS than my current setup. That would currently give me just shy of 7 million DPS just to take Void Beacon. And that's to say nothing about the life regeneration here. So for Forbiddens, we have Vile Bastion as an option, Void Beacon as an option, Profane Bloom as an option if we want more explosions, as well as Commander in Darkness, Unnatural Strength, Bone Barrier, or Mistress of Sacrifice. Those are all fantastic options for Forbiddens. There's also the option to just not use Forbiddens, in which case we could either get 2 more really good Abyssal Jewels, which do matter quite a bit. They are very, very, very useful. These things give us... Let's find one that doesn't have poison on it. There we go. These things give us 2 million DPS a jewel. So putting in 2 more of them would be huge. Also, you could run 1 more and put a Watcher's Eye in, especially Determination Flat Armor, Determination Physical Mitigation, or anything to do with haste or anything to do with discipline. There are a lot of options for Watcher's Eyes as well. What you can't do is fit in a Forbidden set and a Watcher's Eye. We don't have enough jewels for that. Those are decisions that have to be made. You can do a Watcher's Eye and 1 extra Ghastly Jewel, or a Forbidden set, any of the ones that you like. So there's also a second option, which is still using the Surrender, which seems equally as tanky and also involves Mind Over Matter, which is very clever. It was actually brought to me in today's stream. We had a really good look over it. We've got someone running it right now. It also seems very, very good. If you don't like the Aegis Aurora, you can get a Surrender, still put Mind Over Matter on, and still put on Discipline. However, now your block and regen recover your life. What do we do about Energy Shield? Will we drop these 4 points right here? We come down here 1 node, we take Ghost Reaver, and then we take these nodes right here. And it costs us 1 extra passive point, but now all of our leech and all of our instant leech apply to our Energy Shield instead. That also fantastic. The Surrender has a lot more armor, you get better max fizz hit out of it, and then the leech is really, 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 really good at keeping your Energy Shield up, especially with the instant node. And when you go this way, these nodes that lead in here actually do something because we're leeching Energy Shield now. So you get that 80% total recovery per second from Energy Shield leech, and then you also get the 40% maximum total. So those actually work. So depending on which shield you like better, you can still do Mind Over Matter and take hybrid damage and keep both versions going really well. All right. As far as our damage goes, we're currently up to 35 million. We can get a lot more damage just by getting a few more levels. Even just this travel node in my jewel right here is worth 1.1 million DPS. Like just 1 more level adds 1.1 million. There are extra points over here that are worth 500,000 each for those 2 travels. And then this one worth another 1 million. So there are also still jewel upgrades. A lot of my jewels have 3 stats instead of 4 stats. So getting those up would also go quite well. You can see even one of the jewels in my belt here, it has a flat fire roll instead of a flat chaos or an attack speed roll. And that's the one affected by my Darkness Enthralled. So even just upgrading those is amazing. When you get to this point of min-maxing, it is to the point where 1 upgrade, 1 jewel adds 1 million DPS at a time. So there's a lot of ways to scale more damage from here. There's also still the option of adding in suppress, just like we did before. Changing this pathing to come this way, grab the suppress, get suppress on different pieces of gear, put the jewel in here for it, just like we've always done. Could have gone with all of those for even more defense, but at this point, it's already got nearly a 12k max hit. If I went and got 1 more level, we're getting very, very close. The max hit is great. The sustain is still through the roof. So for me, the magical point here of when it started feeling fantastic and not dying anymore is when I reached a 10k max hit. And that really, really happens when you take the mind over matter. The mind over matter really adds quite a lot. So going hybrid with either shield is the play. Which means if we're not using forbidden sets, this is now definitely the layout. And if you were leveling it now, the way I would do it from now on will be Commander of Darkness, Mindless Aggression, then Unnatural, and then Bone Barrier last. So it's been quite good, quite fun. I'm glad I've worked everything out. I'm very happy with it now, but I will be moving on. This build will not be updated to this setting on the website until next patch notes. I will be attaching this video to the front of the guide so we can get updates for this league, but I have some very strong suspicions that this might be the last time we get to play Poison SRS. My suspicion is that SRS nerf that happened this league was meant to nerf all SRS builds. They wanted to change the meta over, and they did not realize how much power we would get out of these nodes that would save SRS and put it back in a still usable and still meta spot. So if there's another update to that guide, this will be the way we do it now. If they destroy it, that's fine. We'll move on and get the next most powerful thing. I'm also perfectly comfortable with that. So that is all I have. The path of building will be attached, and I will see everybody next time. Goodbye.